Hello! I know it's been a while since my last video, so I apologize if I'm rusty speaking to the camera. But if you're new here, my name is Riley. I'm an artist, and if you're coming back to this channel, thank you. It's nice to see you again. Today I wanted to do a video showing you what I've been up to creatively. I've been doing a lot of collage, and I have a bunch in this binder here. And then I also wanted to share this book that I've been working in. I'm calling it my inspiration log. So I think we're going to start with the collages and then we'll look at this at the end. Alright, I'm hoping this will fit in the frame. I got this binder at Walmart. It's, I think Pen & Gear is the brand. Yeah. But it's just a cardboard binder. I really like the pattern on the front and I thought it would be perfect for storing my collages. I wanted a place to be able to put them in page protectors because since there's so many little pieces, if anything fell off, I would want it to just stay with the collage. So in the front here, I just have this zipper pocket. I got this at Dollar Tree, I think, and in here I've got two Ziploc bags. These are pieces from an animation that I made. I'll put it right here. This was so fun to make. I'm trying to get into like analog stop motion animation using collage elements. And then these are pieces of tracing paper and they're just kind of motifs that I use a lot in my art. This is from this collage and I just keep them in here so I could trace them onto different pieces of paper if I want to repeat any images. Alright, so this was the first collage I kind of did when I was getting back into it. I was using this sun paper and I don't really have any here, but I'll put a picture of what I was doing. So I used some of the shapes that I made for that and used it in this collage. I was having a migraine this day, so I feel like the staticky background kind of represents that well. And then this one, these are all like magazine clippings from I think National Geographic's, and then I cut out some shapes and letters with graph paper. This one's cool. I was also experimenting with like paper chains and folding paper, and then you cut one side, flip it out, and you get a symmetrical image. And then I laid these little pieces from the background on top to create more intricate designs. Oops. These are all like small ones, but maybe I'll put these two over here. There was a collage here that I gave to my dad as a gift, and so it's empty, but this one I really liked, kind of mid-century-ish with this like teak wood grain. And then this one's really pretty. I like the like soft color palette of this one. This one was really popular on Instagram and I love that because this is one of my favorite things I've made in a really long time. I used an old drawing I had of a hand, traced it onto these different papers. This is actually vellum. I'll take it out so you can see. But this is vellum, so I kind of wove it in between these strips of paper. I thought that was kind of a cool effect. And then these are just stickers, and this is like a sticker that I cut up. But yeah, I really love this one. I'd like to do more kind of that style. And then I've been really inspired by folk art patterns and rugs, so that's what this is inspired by. And then this was a needlepoint pattern that I drew onto graph paper and layered over a book image. It's so hot right now. In Southern Ontario, we've had a lot of days that have felt like over 40 degrees Celsius, which is absolutely nuts. I have my fan and AC off so that you don't have to hear it, but I am absolutely not having a great time in this weather, so bear with me. This is another needlepoint drawing. I came up with this pattern on my own based on some butterflies I had drawn. This was I think this was like an embroidery pattern that I just copied, and I was doing some of these smaller collages which are fun to use up like scraps and stuff like that. There's another one here. And then I don't know what inspired this, but I think this is kind of a fun idea. I made this envelope out of papers. It's kind of messy on the back, but I used this little collage as my profile picture on Instagram and YouTube. And then I had seen lots of people making charms online, so I thought I would try to make a charm, and then I punched a hole into the envelope to hang this off of. I like this idea. I want to explore with it more in the future. I think it'd be really cool in like a super simple frame with a really thick mat around it. I had these are like dividers from a 45 case. Like they sit in the 45 case and you could put your records just to divide stuff, but I thought they would make really cool backgrounds for collages, so you could see like all these different artists and songs that someone's written down. And these are from a needlepoint pattern book. Also added some words from books. These papers are hand painted that I cut out, and then I think these are sticker skeletons from Happy Planner dot stickers. So trying to get creative and use stuff that I wouldn't normally use in collage. I also have been doing these like found poems. I was doing some of these in my sketchbook. One sec. Okay, so I've been doing some of these in my sketchbook on top of paintings, and I really like the effect. So I thought I would try it on a collage, and yeah, this is another one that I made. And this one as well. And then I think there's this one too. So that's been something fun to explore. I like making poems, but sometimes when I write them with my own like phrases, I get really self-conscious. So using found text is kind of a cool way to work around that. This is a compilation of these 3 gouache paintings, and the concept quickly behind this is that I wanted the title "The Sun is Always the Same Color" because I like this concept of the sun remaining the same color no matter where you are, and if you see it as a different color, it's actually due to the atmosphere and like area of the world you're in. So I punched these yellow circles out of the same piece of paper, and then I glued them on, but the actual images are gouache and pencil crayon, and then I think a bit of Neocolor pastel. This is from an animation. I will include it here. And then these are the stamped words that I put on there. So I just kept this, I think this is like packaging from something, but just throw that in there. This is all like the same stencil of a horse that I drew. And yeah, I just layered it on top of different backgrounds. This is all National Geographic and magazine clippings to make this green background, and then I was doing a lot of like symmetrical images and like paper chains. This was another animation. I'll put it right here. So I had like the stars move around, and basically how I did that was I just used my tripod, and then I just kind of shifted the like paper pieces around the image, and then did like a stop motion animation as a GIF. This is really cute. I added details on this one with this white chalk pencil. That's fun. I really like this piece. These are bleeding heart flowers, and wanted to do kind of like a garden bed illustration. This one's really calm. I really like to look at this. The color palette is a little bit different for me, especially the purple. And then this one makes me so happy. I wanted to kind of have like a sun going all the way up to a moon in the same image. This is pretty symmetrical. I don't know if this one's my favorite. Something about the shape of the butterfly kind of bugs me, but the colors are cool. This one's definitely a favorite. I really like this blue with the yellow and brown and green. I think that's fun, and I really like the layout of this. I like how the largest image is in the center. This is another kind of popular one on Instagram. People seem to like this. I think like the bold graphic shapes lend themselves really well to being shown online because it's so like legible when you're scrolling around. And then this one's very fun. I did like a few different moons and then added details again with that white pencil. And I think I also used like a jelly roll pen. And I did this one. So these are all the same shape that I used a stencil for, and then layered them on different colored backgrounds. And then I have this random, I think this is a gouache painting at the back. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I've been super into collage, and it's been so inspiring and fun and something different to do. I've done collage like throughout my artistic career, so yeah, it's fun to like take some of the motifs and images that I use in my paintings and apply them to collage because you could be a lot more flexible with it. Quickly, I just want to talk about some of the supplies that I'm using for collage. So in terms of glue, I have a few different options. So depending on what I'm gluing onto what, I'll use different glue. So this is just double-sided tape that I get at Dollar Tree. It's really inexpensive and you get a lot of it. I have been using glue rollers, like the tape runners, but honestly I find that they run out really quickly, and I try to save that more for my junk journal. I want the process of junk journaling to be really relaxing, and so this is a bit more tedious, but I find the hold is better. So I'll just like rip off strips of this and then you remove the backing. My next choice would usually be Mod Podge, so I'll just paint this on to the shapes. And if I'm doing that, I have this is just like a clipboard, and then I have this children's book that I don't really think anyone would care about me using. Just as an example, I'll usually like lay the shape with its face side down, glue, just so I don't get glue all over my desk. And I also do the same thing with this glue stick. This is the Yoo-Hoo stick. This is the best glue stick that I've personally found. They're a little bit expensive, and I don't really use this that often. Just if it's like a thinner piece of paper, I'll use this, or if it's smaller. And then finally I have the Aleene's Original Tacky Glue, and this is good if I want a liquid glue for something a bit heavier paper. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been using. And then I just have like a random paintbrush that I don't really care about to paint on the glue. And then I have this box. This is just like a cardboard box, and in here I'll keep like little elements for collages. So like this horse I've traced a zillion times, and I've also used it for mono printing. So there's some like mono prints in here that I'd like to use for collages in the future. Some paper chains, that kind of thing. So I keep all that stuff in here just so I can grab it when I'm working on collages. Okay, and then I have a like art cart next to my desk. I'm just gonna take this stuff out because I don't know how to show it otherwise, but I have this tray that I thrifted. I'm not really sure what this would have been used for. I used to use this for tea bags, but I thought it would be perfect for separating my paper scraps by color. So I have blue and purple, different shades of green, yellow and orange, red and pink, and then these are all like brown pieces of paper or craft paper. So that's been really super helpful. So when I'm collaging, when I'm cleaning up, I'll put any scraps that I have remaining into these different categories, and then it's right next to my desk, like right here, so I can just grab scraps to use versus like full pieces of paper. Like I would go to this before grabbing a full sheet. And I also have this little wooden box that I thrifted as well, and in here I just keep like white paper scraps. So if I write a note and I have extra paper, I'll just cut it up and put it in here. I also swatch markers and pens on this paper. Scissors wise, these are my favorite scissors. These are just Scotch brand. I think I got these at the dollar store for like $3 or maybe Walmart, but I really like the handle. It's super comfortable and I don't find that my hands get fatigued at all using these. I also bought a red pair, but these are still my favorite because of the color. All right, now I want to share this book. So I started this book in May, and what I'm using this for is an inspiration log. Essentially, I wanted an analog place to hold my current inspirations, and I also wanted to delve into my art practice and think about themes, imagery, motifs that I use. Kind of like a visual language is how I've heard people talk about this. So yeah, I thrifted this notebook. I thrift a lot of art supplies. It was 99 cents. Who is that? I have no idea. That's kind of creepy, but fortunately he's on the back. So I put this Hello Kitty sticker and then just this little label. This is the front cover. So this postcard I think is by Stay Home Club, and then I've collaged like a bunch of different pattern papers and shapes. This is a stamp that I have that's like a book plate, and I just put my name. I guess I also put my name here, and then I have the start date, and this little flap is a key. So I'm also doing commonplacing in this book. I've never really done commonplacing like formally, but I have always kept books that I put quotes into. So I thought this would be a good place to put quotes because a lot of the quotes that I save have to do with art and creativity. So we've got 4 categories. I'll probably add more, but right now we have darkness versus light, finding joy, becoming yourself, and creativity. So yeah. And then I'll just like mark the quote with that color so I could easily find it, but yeah. All right, so I wrote some intentions on this first page, just kind of like what I want to use this book for. I also wrote like who am I as an artist, and then I added some like doodles and little bits of collage stuff. I have some current inspiration, so like anything from movement and rhythm to horses / symbolic animals, whimsy, mindfulness, finding magic in the mundane, art as meditation, blah blah blah. And then I have a little list of motifs that I like to use. So obviously we have butterflies, houses, stamps, flowers, plants, 8-pointed stars, birds. And I also made a list of like inspiration. So like folk art is one, children's book illustrations, doll houses, textiles, and much more. I have a small list here of artists that I'm looking at, but I'll probably expand on that later. This page is definitely in progress. I want to add more drawings to this. I'm also listing like video ideas here, and then I can expand on them in later pages. This is a Paul Cézanne painting, and I added these little happy planner dots to kind of represent the different colors that I liked in this painting. And a postcard. These are just some thoughts that I had on making. Some quotes, and then here's the commonplace. So I'll just write commonplace at the top, and then I add the little dots next to the quotes. This is probably my favorite page. I made this color palette exploration. So these are all scraps from collages, and then these are different pattern papers that I like. And then I also separated the colors into like kind of categories and wrote like the quality that I like about them. These are more the mono printing horses and more commonplace. This is a postcard that I started collaging on, but I never finished, so I thought I'd throw it in here. Little window with a moon, more commonplace. I had more quotes than I knew what to do with, so I just started adding them. And then I'm working on a bit of a collage basics, like I don't know, I think I want to make a video on the basics of collage, but yeah, that's pretty much it that I have right now. These are just some drawings for a sculpture that I wanted to make, and yeah. So I think that's it for now. I can make updates on this if you guys are interested. I think this is a really fun idea. I am really excited to see how this grows, and I would love to see it all filled up and then start a new one. But yeah, like I said, this is probably going to be like a reference for me. The idea is that I don't want to always look at Pinterest for inspiration. I would rather print images out, draw things, create color palettes in here, so that I always have it on hand and I don't have to look at my phone to be inspired. So yeah, that's that. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm really warm. I need to turn my fan and AC on. It's insanely hot, like I said. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Would you be interested in starting an inspiration log of your own, and what kind of things would you include in yours? Let me know. I'm interested to hear. I love how varied all of our art practices are, and if you don't do visual art, maybe you have a journaling practice or music or videos. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. I like to hear about other people's ideas. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.